I was a business unit manager in a vinyl flooring plant for about 2.5 years. Now, when I got there, I found out that union and management relationship was strained, to say the least. On my first day there, walking through the facility, I saw a sign on the wall that said, "The plant will be shutting down in 2 months." And I talked to some of the union leadership, and I was told that, "Adam, we can't trust you because we didn't trust the person before you, and we certainly won't trust the person after you. And by the way, you're not going to be here for long anyway." That made it a little challenging. So, what I decided to do was spend a lot of time on the factory floor, getting to know the employees and truly to try to understand their issues. Now, many of the employees were quite skeptical, and most of the time, all they did was complain about management and all the horrible things we were doing. For my first 6 weeks there, I was kind of on my own. I had a staff, but the plant manager had been replaced and the new one had not arrived. Finally, after about 6 weeks, Bill arrived and he brought us together as a staff and talked about what we were going to try to accomplish. The first thing he said we need to get right is safety. It was clear that if you can't get safety right, you can't get anything else right. So we created our first target for compliance, and that was safety glasses. And the reason why we picked safety glasses was this. It was kind of a dusty and dirty environment, and there could be particles in the air. And for some reason, over 10 years ago, proudly, the union stated that they had convinced management that safety glasses weren't necessary in this environment. Well, this just wasn't right. So Bill met with union leadership and informed them that we were going to reinstate the safety glass requirement. Now, we were going to give a 2-week grace period so that if people had trouble remembering or they keep losing their glasses, which sometimes they did intentionally, sometimes unintentionally, we wouldn't discipline them. But after the 2 weeks, we were going to stand firm in our convictions and, if necessary, discipline folks for not following the rules. Well, we had round-the-clock crew meetings, and of course, most of the folks in the audience were quite unhappy with this new requirement and argued that, hey, we've never had a safety incident with particles getting in our eyes, so why do we need this now? Well, not a great argument. If we ever allowed somebody to not comply and they got injured, what would we be thinking? It's just not the right way to go. So we also found out, because the supervisors hadn't to enforce this for over 10 years, they had difficulty. So we spent many, many hours on the floor helping our supervisors make sure that everybody was being compliant. Now, we didn't want to spy on people, but we just wanted to be visible and also remind people how critical this requirement was. Well, the feedback, as you might expect, was not kind, but we stuck to our convictions. It just wasn't worth an injury to let somebody not be compliant with this safety requirement. We could prevent it. So how could we look at ourselves in the mirror if we allowed it to go on without following those safety rules? Now, we got so many complaints. We visited with Bill in his office many times and said, hey, people, all they do is say, I hate these safety glasses. I hate these safety glasses. Well, Bill smiled and told us, hey, those complaints are great. What it means is people have it in the top of their minds about safety glasses, and it keeps reinforcing the behavior that they need to have, whether they like it or not. Well, so we hung in there. There were many grievances filed, but we never lost one. And after about a month, the big fuss had died down a little bit, and everybody was compliant to wearing safety glasses. Well, now we rolled out our next opportunity target, and that was lockout tagout. We realized that is a requirement by law, of course, but if you don't follow it well and something fails, people can get seriously injured. So we wanted to make sure that never happened again. So we rolled out lockout tagout, and just like with safety glasses, we got tremendous amount of negative feedback and pushback. But here's the interesting thing. The negative comments about safety glasses started to subside, and the new enemy was lockout tagout. Well, what was interesting is about a month in, we were locking out and tagging out properly, and we rolled out that next basic safety compliance effort. And it followed the same pattern until we got all the critical safety requirements out and people became compliant. And eventually, And it took a long time. People realized that we truly cared about their safety, and standing firm in our convictions made us a much safer place to work.
I hope you enjoyed this story, gained some insight, and learned something you can use. You'll find many more Kaizen stories on my website, www.pi-partners.com. If you'd like help growing your profits through sustained process improvement, scan the QR code on the screen for a free consultation, and let's start our journey together.